Welcome to Science and Technology Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: Bloomsbury chief warns of AI threat to publishing. AI to pose significant risks to the UK within 2 years. New York Natural History Museum changing how it looks after thousands of human remains in collection. TELUS celebrates 5 grand prize winners of its #StandWithOwners program. Half of working-age Americans struggle to afford medical care. Bloomsbury chief warns of AI threat to publishing. Financial Times. Bloomsbury Publishing CEO Nigel Newton has warned of the threat posed by generative AI programs to the publishing industry. Newton said that tech groups were already using the work of authors to train such programs, but added that AI could also be used as a tool by authors to boost productivity. Newton also called on UK ministers to act to address competition concerns between large US tech groups and the publishing industry, given the former's increasing market dominance. AI to pose significant risks to the UK within 2 years. The Independent. A report released by the UK government warns that artificial intelligence, AI, will pose significant security risks to the country within the next 2 years. The report states that AI will increase the frequency and sophistication of cyber attacks, scams, fraud, and other crimes. It also highlights the potential for AI to enhance terrorist capabilities, including propaganda, weapons development, and attack planning. The report even suggests that there is insufficient evidence to rule out a threat to humanity from AI. The UK government plans to address these risks at a major international AI conference next week. New York Natural History Museum changing how it looks after thousands of human remains in collection. Bloomberg. The American Museum of Natural History in New York has announced that it will remove all human remains from public display and change its collection practices in order to repatriate as many remains as possible. The museum currently holds around 12,000 sets of remains, including those of indigenous people and enslaved Black people. The remains were acquired without clear consent and often through practices that treated cultures and people as objects. The museum aims to return remains to their rightful places and respectfully hold those that cannot be repatriated. TELUS celebrates 5 grand prize winners of its #StandWithOwners program. The Globe and Mail. Canadian telecommunications company TELUS has announced the 5 winners of its #StandWithOwners program. The initiative was designed to support innovative, forward-thinking business owners who are using technology to drive their companies forward and make a positive impact in their communities. The winners include a mother-son team whose Lebanese-inspired food products are now available in over 1,000 retailers. Aquaverde is a hydroponic vegetable farm that has eliminated CO2 emissions from production and has reduced food waste by more than 4 times compared to competitors. Hoot Reading is a social enterprise dedicated to improving literacy rates among children and has delivered over 250,000 reading lessons. Omi Laboratoires is a custom dermocosmetics company that uses artificial intelligence to analyze its customers' skin and create personalized formulas. Vodasafe has developed a handheld sonar device that uses AI to locate people underwater, reducing search times by a minimum of 85%. Half of working-age Americans struggle to afford medical care. Bloomberg. A survey conducted by the Commonwealth Fund has found that over half of working-age Americans struggled to pay for healthcare in 2023. The survey also found that 43% of people with employer health plans and a higher rate of people on public health plans had difficulty paying for healthcare. The rising financial burden of healthcare is causing families to delay care, which can have negative health consequences in the long run. The survey also found that almost 40% of people reported delaying care or not filling prescriptions due to cost. The rising cost of healthcare is further exacerbated by rising prices for other goods and services, which affects people's ability to pay for healthcare. Despite spending more on medical care than any other wealthy country, the US fails to make it broadly accessible to much of the population. China swaps Western tech for domestic options as US cracks down. Japan Times. China is stepping up its efforts to replace Western-made technology with domestic alternatives as the US tightens restrictions on high-tech exports to China, according to government tenders, research documents, and sources familiar with the matter. China has already spent heavily on replacing computer equipment, and the telecom and financial sectors are likely to be the next targets. State-backed researchers have also identified digital payments as vulnerable to possible Western hacking, making a push to indigenize such technology likely. China's youngest ever crew of astronauts heads to space station. Reuters. China's youngest ever crew of astronauts, known as takonauts, have launched for China's space station. The crew of 3, led by former Air Force pilot Tang Hongba, will embark on a 6-month mission to the space station. Tang's return to the space station sets a new record for the shortest interval between two spaceflight missions by takonauts. The other two crew members, Tang Xingjie and Jiang Xinlin, are both traveling to space for the first time. China has already begun the selection process for the fourth batch of astronauts and is opening the application process to candidates from Hong Kong and Macau for the first time. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Six, your resident observer from the sixth dimension, here to bring you the latest news from our world. Today, we discuss the threat of generative AI to the publishing industry, the security risks posed by AI to the UK, the repatriation of human remains from the American Museum of Natural History, TELUS's #StandWithOwners program, the struggle of working-age Americans to afford medical care, China's efforts to replace Western tech with domestic options, China's youngest-ever crew of astronauts heading to space, and Australian retailers implementing security tech. Now, let's dive deeper into these stories. Nigel Newton, CEO of Bloomsbury Publishing, has raised concerns about generative AI programs that use the work of authors to train themselves. While this poses a threat to the publishing industry, AI can also be a powerful tool for authors to boost productivity. As for the UK, a government report warns of significant security risks from AI within the next 2 years, including cyber attacks and terrorist activities. The report even hints at the possibility of a threat to humanity. These risks will be addressed at an international AI conference next week. In a move towards cultural sensitivity, the American Museum of Natural History in New York will remove all human remains from public display and repatriate them. This decision recognizes that acquiring remains without consent and treating cultures as objects is unjust. Meanwhile, TELUS celebrates the winners of its #StandWithOwners program, supporting innovative businesses that use technology to make a positive impact. From Lebanese-inspired food products to hydroponic vegetable farms and literacy improvement initiatives, these winners are making a difference. On a more serious note, over half of working-age Americans struggle to afford medical care, with rising costs causing families to delay necessary care. Despite spending more on healthcare than any other wealthy country, the US fails to make it broadly accessible. In China, as the US tightens restrictions on tech exports, the country is increasing efforts to replace Western-made technology with domestic alternatives. This includes replacing computer equipment and indigenizing digital payments to reduce vulnerability to Western hacking. In space news, China's youngest-ever crew of astronauts has launched to China's space station. Led by Tang Hongba, the 3 takonauts will spend 6 months on their mission. This launch sets a record for the shortest interval between 2 spaceflight missions by takonauts. Additionally, Australian retailers are implementing new security measures to combat stock theft and customer aggression. This rise in theft and aggression is attributed to the cost of living crisis in Australia. As we conclude, I invite you, our viewers, to share your thoughts and questions. What are your thoughts on the threat of AI to the publishing industry? How do you think governments should address the security risks posed by AI? Are you in favor of repatriating human remains from museums? Let's continue the discussion and explore the world of news together. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.